What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Couple reminders, big one being the Nindies is later on today. I will be streaming it. I'm going to go live at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. So come on by, we'll take a look. We'll see what indie games we get, see what maybe new announcements we get as well. There's a lot of stuff I'm hoping to see, mostly release dates for some like Hollow Knight, for example, possibly Undertale, maybe Wargroove. And then I'm pretty excited to see what other big indies or indie titles can get over onto the Switch, because they've been doing well, and I like indie games a lot, and the Switch seems like the new platform to be on for indie games. So we'll see how many they pack into. We're not really sure how long. Maybe like a 20-minute presentation. I think last year's was longer than that even. It was pretty lengthy. So we'll see what happens there. And then, of course, today, Sea of Thieves is out. It is now released. You can get it on Game Pass if you have it there, or, of course, you can go and just buy it. And I have to say, some people don't really like the idea of Sea of Thieves, don't like it, as boring, whatnot. That's fine. But I have to at least give them credit, Rare and the studio behind it, people working on it. They're having a lot of fun with this game. They're not taking it too seriously, and I think that has really translated into what the game is now, which is kind of a silly rendition of Pirates on the High Seas. We heard about the Kraken, and then they showed us their day one patch. That's right, guys. There is a day one patch for Sea of Thieves. It's actually available in the clothing store that they have in-game, and you can get it for your character. It's literally a patch, an eye patch, with the number 1 on it. So so far so good. I really like them not taking it too seriously and being very self-aware about the game. Other than that, though, guys, we have a lot of stuff to get into today. The Atari Box got rebranded. We got more information. I know, the Atari Box, but it looks like it is actually coming out. Crazy, right? GDC kind of forced it on them, though, I guess. When they said they were going to be there, they came out with a bunch of information. We're going to get to that. Then we also have to talk about Ninokuni 2 and what ended up being probably the biggest debut for Kirby. That's right, guys. Kirby apparently blew the doors off expectations in the UK. So today, guys, let's get started. So I want to jump right in with Ninokuni 2. It's out Friday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get it, but I'm mostly going to play it as like a leisure type game, because there's no way I'm sprinting through that game. Generally, with the confined amounts of time I have for kind of leisure gaming now, outside of what I do for the channel and everything else. This is going to be a game I spend quite a bit of time playing, but I really liked the first one. I'm really looking forward to the second one, because it's giving me those Dark Cloud 2 vibes with the city building and everything. And of course, I'm a fan for JRPGs. The only annoying thing is they take forever to get through, and finding time for some of that is kind of tough now with what I'm doing here. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a game that I buy, and I'm just going to play it going forward. Reviews? Good. Very good. They've turned out to be good for a JRPG. JRPGs don't usually get massive review scores. Persona ended up being, Persona 5 ended up being a bit of an exception to the rule here. But it's good to see it, because this thing got plenty of good reviews. 80 out of 100 from Game Informer, 4.5 out of 5 for Hardcore Gamer. Destructoid was a little lower at 7.5 out of 10. RPG Site, 9 out of 10. GameSpot, 8 out of 10. PlayStation Universe, 9.5 out of 10. And Polygon even gave it a 9, with, in this case, Kotaku saying it's a great role-playing game and it's worth the money. So I am so excited for Ninokuni 2. You guys are going to let me know down in the comments if you're excited and which version you're getting. Are you getting it on the PC? Are you getting it on the PS4? I think I'm going to get it on the PS4 Pro. If I do end up capturing footage for it, it's just generally easier, since I can run it through an Elgato or a capture card, than on PC. So that's probably going to be what I'm going to do. Friday, I'll get it all loaded up on the PS4 Pro, and I'll play for a couple hours to get started. And then from there, I'll just kind of play when I have time. But I'm looking forward to getting quite a bit of playtime out of that game. I'm really excited. Next up, let's get into the Atari Box, because GDC came around. They had talked a lot prior to GDC. They had kind of made an announcement and said, we're going to be at GDC with the Atari Box. We're also going to be there with new games for the Switch, some VR titles as well. But the big thing is, we're going to show off the Atari Box. And they did. They even gave it a new title. It's now known as the AtarVCS. Now, that might sound familiar, and that's because it is. It's actually what they were selling the Atari 2600 under for quite a while, back in the late 70s into the early 80s, until they eventually called it the Atari 2600. And that's kind of what they've pulled up now as is Atari VCS. It might be confusing, honestly, to some, although we are in an era where things like the Xbox One is technically the most recent Xbox, so I guess it's not as confusing as something like that, and that's worked out at least well enough at this point, I'd say, for the Xbox. So Atari VCS is the new title. Not only did they give us that, they also told us it will be available for pre-order in April. Originally, they were going to go under an Indiegogo campaign. If you remember that, they were going to collect a crowdsourced amount of money, and then in this case, I guess, produce these things. But it sounds like, from what they've said here, they're going to open pre-orders in April, and I guess forego the entirety of a crowdsource. It's hard to really say. Their wording's a little weird. It just says, we're going to be opening for pre-orders. That could still mean they're going to open for pre-orders under something like an Indiegogo, or they're going to just open for pre-orders on a pre-made site that just collects the money, and then I guess they'll use that to then build the stuff. I would hope that they at least have most of it worked out. According to them, though, spokesperson and everything from Atari, they did this, or at least delayed the most recent crowdfunding they were going to try to do because they weren't, I guess, completely confident. Things weren't aligned correctly, as they said. And then they also showed us what appears to be the main controller for the Atari Box. If you remember, they showed us a regular Atari controller that was kind of updated for modern times. And I was a little worried that was going to be their main controller. Not the case as you see here. It looks like it's kind of like an Xbox controller. I mean, seriously, it has the offset sticks, appears to have shoulder buttons at the top, and I guess maybe triggers on the back. And yeah, it looks very, very similar actually to an Xbox controller, of course, with their branding on it and kind of the black and I guess almost orange-like color scheme there. So yes, we are seeing the Atari Box actually come out in a month or so is when we're going to start pre-orders. No information though. We know it's using, as they said, PC technology. It seemed to be an AMD APU, although I saw on VentureBeat they said Intel at the bottom. I don't know. I mean, that's how confused people are right now, and Atari is barely giving us any information, and I hope they tell us ahead of the pre-order date what's actually in it and what we can expect. They did clear things up a little further when they sent out their press release saying, every person at Atari and every partner involved with the new platform is just as fanatical about the brand and its heritage as our biggest fans are. With the Atari VCS name, we know how important it is to get everything completely right, and that's why we briefly paused an imminent launch late last year. It was a difficult decision with the countdown underway, but we weren't willing to go forward and with even one thing out of alignment. We hope that Atari's fans appreciate our extreme attention to detail and are as excited about the Atari VCS as we are. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what they told us. They wanted to clear everything up, and that's what was accompanied with the press release. So at this point, we still don't really know what to expect from it. We know we're probably going to be able to play Atari games on it. We feel like it'll be doing indie games, I guess, because it's not going to be using, I guess, the latest technology that something like an Xbox One X will be using. And they gave us a price of about $250 to $300, and it'll be running Linux. That's pretty much what we know about it. So hey, we'll see what happens, but I hope they give us more information before they start asking for money in April, but we'll wait and see. Next up, let's talk about the retail sales chart in the UK, and these come from GameIndustry.biz. They talked a bit about the charts, and they made a very interesting point. This appears to be the biggest opening in the UK for Kirby ever. Like the entire franchise, the 19 previous games. This is the biggest opening. Let's take a look at the top games though, as you're going to see here, starting with Burnout Paradise Remastered. New entry, of course, just came out. It's $40, and it does technically take the older Burnout Paradise and remaster it for the newer systems. Did very well at number 1 here in the UK. Number 2, Kirby Star Allies actually outsold FIFA, which is a little surprising. FIFA's been out for a while, but it remains popular pretty much consistently throughout the year, as you see it at number 3 there. Grand Theft Auto 5 below that, Mario Kart Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that is the one that's sold over the counter in stores, EA Sports UFC 3, Fallout 4, and then The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 10. Now prior to these, the next, I guess, highest charting Kirby games were Triple Deluxe and Planet Robot. So this is very impressive to see Kirby, at this point, Star Allies on the Switch, be at number 2. Now we're going to see how it goes throughout the weeks. It'll probably start to drop down as we go along. But still, this is very impressive. And it has me really wondering now, where is it going to place on Media Creates? Because I have a feeling it's going to top the charts. We're going to see that. I believe tomorrow we'll see Media Create sales come out. And we're going to find out from there, I guess, how well Kirby charts in Japan, because I have a feeling it's going to do pretty well. It'll probably top the charts, and we're looking somewhere around 200,000 units in its debut, I would say, week, but we're only at 2 days. Remember, it's only on track Friday and Saturday, so we'll have to kind of get an idea in too many crates where it probably would have sold. But opening day generally is pretty large. Did very well here. I mean, seriously, this is a Friday and Saturday. It did great here, and it's pretty interesting to see Kirby, which Kirby Star Allies isn't a bad game, but I'd say playing it, it's an average game. I'd say it's an average game. I think it's missing some things like online co-op. That's something that's missing. But overall, if you just want to have some fun with couch co-op and not really, I guess, try to destroy yourself trying to get through a game because it's insanely hard, this is actually a fun game, and it's a good family game. That also might be why it sold so well. I mean, the Switch is a good family system as well as a system that people can play Zelda on. So it makes sense to me why it did well. It's just very impressive to see how well, though. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about an older game that came out a long time ago, 25 or so years ago, had a Kickstarter pushed for it, ended up being successful, moving this game, porting it completely with assets from other versions of the game, and then creating a game for the Dreamcast, right? And now that game is being moved to the Switch. And I'm talking about Flashback, the one from the Super Nintendo, I believe it was also on the Amiga and MS-DOS, and then they moved it to the Dreamcast through a successful Kickstarter, and now they are moving it to the Switch. Not only are they moving it to the Switch, they're bringing out a special edition that you're going to see right here, and man, does this thing look awesome. Now, I will say, before we talk about what's in this special edition, it appears to be coming to Europe specifically, along with Australia, so it does not look like it's coming out in the US or other parts of the world. You will have to import this game, but that's a great thing about region-free gaming is, hey, you can do that. But if you see the special edition here, it has a collector's box, Flashback, the game physically, by the way, digital remaster soundtrack, retro style instruction booklet, a really, really cool retro cartridge style metal case. I like the look of that, by the way. And then an exclusive numbered metal card, I guess, for each one that goes out, gets a number, and you can kind of, I guess, have it to say which number you were in the purchasing. So pretty cool to see. This is, of course, done by Microids, very successful Kickstarter. Again, this is kind of it's an interesting style game. You'll have to go back and look up some gameplay on the Super Nintendo or even the newer one they put out for the Dreamcast. But seeing these kind of games get a physical release on the Switch, it's also coming to digitally as well, and that's coming June 7th. So it is still coming digitally. If you don't want to go through importing or getting this version of it, you could still get it. It'll show up on the eShop June 7th. You'll be able to download it and play it. What a cool idea. I really like the idea of this. I love the special edition. It's actually going to be $39.99 as well, so it's not even like a very expensive special edition with all the stuff it comes with. So if you're really into that game, you're really into that series, you played it on the Super Nintendo, maybe you bought it on the Dreamcast even through Kickstarter, that looks like the perfect special edition for you. So I guess check it out. It's coming out June 7th. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Kirby debut in the UK. Maybe you were expecting it. Maybe you're a little surprised to see Kirby have its biggest opening week in the UK ever. Are you expecting, in this case, this to be the best-selling Kirby ever done? Maybe it's just the Switch itself. It's hit that mainstream appeal, and people who maybe didn't look into these games prior are now buying into them because the Switch's idea is so interesting to a lot of people, to have it really docked and then undocked, so it's a home console and that's handheld. That still seems to be very interesting to a lot of people, so maybe that's why it's doing so well with a lot of this stuff. Also, let me know if you're picking up Ninokuni too. I'm excited. I can't wait, but I'm curious to see if anyone else is picking it up as well. Any other JRPG fans out there looking into this game. And then also let me know what you think about Flashback. Maybe you bought into the Dreamcast, or maybe you remember it and you're excited to either get the special edition or just revisit it again, in this case with assets and cutscenes pulled from the Amiga and the MS-DOS version over to the Switch version. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you stop by later on today at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll be doing the Nindies presentation on the channel. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll see you guys then.